What's going on, everybody? It's Erica here from The In-Between. Welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any of my future Make Money Online reviews, just like this one. If you are watching this, then you've probably seen or heard about the Invasive Technologies company that says you can work remotely, help train AI systems, and get paid for doing task-based work from home. And their whole pitch is that you can take on projects tied to AI training, data review, and back-end support, all while working on a flexible schedule from wherever you want. But before you go spending hours signing up, going through the whole application process, and giving them all of your hard-earned time and money, I want to break down what this company actually is, how the work works, what the pay really looks like, what workers are saying about it online, and most importantly, guys, whether or not this is something you can really count on for steady income in 2026. Or if you're looking for something that's way more scalable, less stressful, and actually helps you build a business you own 100% online, much like the business model I've been personally running for years now that continues to pay me every single month like clockwork, then go ahead and click on the link below to check it out. And just a quick disclaimer before we jump in, guys, I'm not in any way affiliated with Invasive Technologies. This is all just my honest take based on my own research, experience with the platform, and obviously what other real users are saying online. With that being said, let's jump right in. So first, let's talk about what Invasive Technologies actually is, because it's not really a course and it's not really a traditional job either. It's more like a company that connects people to different task-based work that helps train AI systems. And the way they position it is as this operations as a service company, which basically just means they use real people behind the scenes to make automated systems look smarter. So you're technically part of AI development, but you're still doing manual work here. So once you do get in, the process is pretty straightforward. You apply, you go through a multi-step onboarding process, and then you get access to different tasks or projects just depending on what you do qualify for. You'll be given instructions, guidelines, and systems to follow, and then you basically just complete tasks based on those rules. And that's really the core of it. So there's no real training like a course, and there's definitely no system you're building for yourself here. You're basically just completing work that's already been assigned to you. And speaking of the work itself, it can vary, but it usually involves things like reviewing outputs, labeling data, or helping refine how AI responds. So it's not super complicated, but it does require attention to detail and following directions closely. With that being said, the upside is that some people say the onboarding is smooth and that the training is clear, and when there is work available, you can make decent side money. But the downside is that everything depends on task availability. So that means you might have work one week and then the next week it's completely dry, and you don't really have any control in that. Now, when it comes to their online rep, when you look at Trustpilot first, the feedback is honestly pretty rough. There are a lot of one-star reviews, and the same themes keep coming up over and over again. The course itself only has a 2.3 star rating, and people say they spent hours, sometimes even days, going through unpaid assessments and onboarding steps just to either get rejected at the end or completely ghosted. There are also tons of complaints about poor communication and disorganization. People mentioning getting their accounts deactivated with no real explanation, or being told they failed something without ever seeing their results. On top of that, some users say that they even spent money up front on equipment just to meet the requirements and still didn't end up getting the job. There are also tons of concerns about unfair pay, just depending on location and favoritism inside the company, which obviously just makes the whole thing feel that much less transparent. And when you move over to Reddit, a lot of Redditors talk about heavy tracking, like screenshots, keystrokes, and monitoring software while you're working, which already makes it feel less flexible than it's advertised to be. Others mention onboarding taking way longer than expected, sometimes weeks, and communication dropping off halfway through the process. And beyond that, pay is another big issue. A lot of people saying they made decent money just depending on the product, but tons of others saying that it's plain inconsistent, and in some cases, tasks get rejected so that they don't even get paid for the time they already spent. Now, with that being said, the biggest issue with this whole business model itself is that you don't have any control here. Based on everything that I saw, you don't control when work shows up, how long it lasts, or even how often you get selected for tasks. So your income is always tied to something outside of you. And on top of that, you don't really own anything at the end of the day, meaning you're not building a business, you're not building any sort of asset, and you're not creating something that grows in value over time. You're basically just completing tasks and living day to day. And even the pay, while it can look decent on paper, still depends on tough approvals, performance, and project availability. So at the end of the day, it's not something stable, and it's definitely not predictable. That's why instead of putting all of your time and energy into something like this, where you're depending on tasks and waiting for work to show up for you, I will always prefer building something that I actually own at the end of the day. That's why I build digital assets instead. And the whole idea behind the digital assets business model is pretty simple. It's all about building small niche websites around local services all over the US people are already searching for and need, like roofing, plumbing, or in my case, fencing repair. And you rank those same niche sites to the very top of Google so that anytime people in that area search for those services, they find your site first and call the number listed. And in turn, all of those calls convert into real leads for local business owners who then are more than happy to partner with you and rent out this site from you. And they pay you every single month like clockwork because all of those leads help their business grow. For example, as you guys can see here, I built this fencing repair site for Colorado Springs a few years ago, and that same site is still paying me to this day, and it still continues to bring in calls for the business owner. And in return, they're more than happy to pay me every single month because all of those calls turn into real customers. And because you're working in local markets around the US, that usually translates to low competition and high demand for scalability. That's why I also built this stucco plaster site that works the same exact way. Same concept, same setup, same city, and it still continues to make me money every single month like clockwork without even having to touch the site, chase work, or even wait for tasks for that matter. And if you ask me guys, that's the biggest difference when it comes to building digital assets compared to any other online business model, because you're building your websites once, you're ranking them, and from there they continue to build their value over time and pay you consistently every single month because you actually own 100% of your digital assets. Which also means if any business owner decides to stop paying you or rent out the site from you, you don't lose any of your income. You simply just rent it out to another business owner in the same niche who's wanting more customers. So you never lose your income and you never have to wonder if you're going to be paid next month. It's that simple. All right, guys, that's my full review of the Invisible Technologies platform. If you found this review helpful, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe down below so you don't miss any future reviews like this one. And if you want to learn more about building digital assets, the business model I personally use that pays me every single month like clockwork because it gives me way more control and more long-term upside, then go ahead and check out the link in the description below where you'll find a free training that covers the whole business model in complete detail. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.